The Alien franchise has introduced a terrifying menagerie of xenomorph variants across films, games, comics, and now TV. These creatures range from tiny parasitic horrors to towering hive monarchs. We've compiled every major xenomorph form and related creature from 1979's Alien up to the latest Alien Earth TV series, ranked from smallest to largest. The Xenopole, approximately 5 centimeters. As this is the Alien Earth Update Edition, we have a few new entries from FX's series. The first is the creature that this series has confirmed the Xenomorph facehuggers implant their hosts with. It's a small tadpole-like larva that we're calling the Xenopole for now. It's around the length of a little finger. The larva, after being released by the facehugger, burrows into the host's soft tissue. In the case of Alien Earth, that was Wendy's brother Hermit's injured and extracted lung. After finding a place to latch onto, the larva then consumes the host until it is large enough to burst from the chest cavity. The Xenopole is either the smallest or the equal smallest on this ranking. Next up is the blood tick, approximately 5 centimeters. One of the new additions to the Alien universe is the blood tick, or species 19, introduced in Alien Earth. Measuring around 5 centimeters in length, these are tick-like alien parasites that burrow into a victim's body and feed on their blood. As they engorge themselves, the ticks swell with blood in sacs on their bodies. Alien Earth has shown this in horrible fashion with a couple of Prodigy Corporation security guards. Another lethal power was demonstrated aboard the Maginot, where an eco-friendly water bottle becomes a weapon. This happens when the blood slug secretes its own tadpole-type creatures, that are equally devastating, into water. The thirsty victim in question died within hours, collapsing after vomiting his own blood. And to add insult to injury, the early-stage ticks that were inside his body then killed 2 more crew members. The ticks have a defense mechanism, the ability to release a deadly airborne toxin that kills almost instantly. Species 19 may be small, but it packs a mighty punch. Another from the new TV series is T. Ocellus, approximately 15 to 30 centimeters. T. Ocellus is also known as the eyeball monster and species 64. It resembles a large eyeball with multiple pupils and octopus-like tentacles it uses for movement. It's also capable of moving its pupils into a single point, providing multiple images from the same point of view. The Ocellus will tear out and replace a host's eyeball, implanting itself in the empty socket to take control of the host's body. In the series, one Ocellus invades a cat, a human, and even a sheep, puppeteering them into attacking humans. Roughly the size of a grapefruit, tentacles included, this parasite displays an alarming level of intelligence, possibly even sentience. Most recently seen teaming up with the blood tick creature to distract a member of the Maginot's crew and accelerate the crew's demise. With its single glaring eye and squirming limbs, the T. Ocellus is a terrifying threat. It even fought a Xenomorph, biting it in the process, and came out alive and kicking all its many tentacles. The fly, approximately 0.4 meters. Another new and terrifying creature from FX's Alien Earth series. The fly is exactly what it sounds like, except it is massive. About the size of a human, or hybrid synthetic forearm, as we see when the creature begins the Neverland Island chaos by attacking Toodles. The fly is able to spray acidic fluid from a hose-like protrusion within its mouth. We later see 2 flies feeding on the dead hybrid Toodles with the same tube as sprayed the fluid to kill him. The flies nest or cocoon up high in the lab, and are, like the other specimens in the Neverland Research Facility, keen to find their way out of captivity. Chestburster, approximately 0.5 meters. The legendary Chestburster is the larval stage of the Xenomorph XX121 species. It's what comes after the Xenopole stage. It first horrified audiences in Alien in 1979 when one erupted from Kane's chest. Chestbursters are small serpentine creatures, pale in color with a long tail and rudimentary arms. They gestate inside a host's chest after implantation and then violently burst through the ribcage when mature. A typical human-hosted chestburster is about 18 to 24 inches or 0.5 meters long. Tiny compared to its adult form. Within hours, a chestburster sheds its skin and develops into a juvenile or adult xenomorph. This larval creature's unforgettable debut cemented the alien life cycle's gruesome reputation, making chest-bursting synonymous with visceral horror. Ovomorph, 0.9 to 1 meter. Of course, the visceral horror begins with xenomorph eggs. In simple terms, the ovomorph is a tough, 4-lobed urn about 1 meter tall, 3 feet 3 inches, with a squat footprint roughly 0.5 meters across, 20 inches. When sealed, it's a knee to mid-thigh high package at human scale. When the top splits, those lobes flex outward and the mouth can span 0.6 to 0.75 meters. The shell is muscular and springy, and the interior is just large enough to cradle a facehugger coiled tail to snout in nutrient gel. In other words, about 1 meter tall, about half a meter wide closed, wider when open, precisely sized to hide in low light, wait and unleash what comes next. And we will never get used to what it is that comes next. D. Plumbicare, approximately 1 meter. Again from the new series, we have one of the species that crash-landed in Prodigy City with Weyland-Yutani's ship. D. Plumbicare is a plant-like species that resembles a large pod. It was first seen hanging from the ceiling, and it produced a long stamen it could seemingly use to manipulate its environment. We still haven't seen it in action, but thanks to the Maginot ship's files, we know that it is carnivorous and lures prey into the range of its stamen before pulling them into the main pod structure of its body. Like a Venus flytrap, it kills its prey via asphyxiation, dissolution, or exhaustion before eating the corpse. Estimated around a meter tall, it will prove that nature can produce nightmares in any kingdom. It's an eerie reminder that alien life can take any form. Facehugger, maximum 1.5 meters. No creature is more emblematic of the xenomorph life cycle than the facehugger. These spider-like parasites emerge from xenomorph eggs and exist solely to implant an embryo into a host's body. A facehugger is roughly 4 feet 11 inches, 150 centimeters, long from its knuckle-like appendages to the tip of its coiled tail. Its splayed leg span is about 45 centimeters across, just the right size to grip a human's head. Facehuggers attack with astonishing speed. They leap from the open egg, wrap their bony legs around the host's face and tail around the neck, and insert a proboscis down the throat. The victim is kept alive in a coma while the facehugger pumps oxygen and an embryo into their chest. Attempts to pull the creature off are met with tightening of its tail, even strangling the host, and the risk of acid blood spray if cut. After implantation, the facehugger detaches and dies, having fulfilled its purpose. The facehugger remains one of cinema's most dread-inducing creations, a parasitoid hand from hell that ensures the xenomorph species propagates by turning you into an incubator. Is there a more horrifying creature in all of sci-fi? Let us know what you think in the comments. Hammerpede, approximately 1.5 meters. The Hammerpede is a snake-like alien creature encountered in Prometheus, 2012. It's not a xenomorph per se, but rather the result of indigenous worms on LV-223 mutating after exposure to the engineer's black pathogen, the black goo. Roughly the size of a large python, estimated approximately 1.5 meters long, a hammerpede has pale, translucent skin and a hammer-shaped, expanding head with razor jaws. Think of a deadly space snake. In Prometheus, 2 hammerpedes spawn from black goo-covered mud and aggressively attack the human crew. They prove remarkably durable, with one surviving decapitation and displaying acid blood similar to xenomorphs. A hammerpede's strength is disproportionate to its size. It easily breaks a man's arm with its coiling body and forces its way down another's throat. This creature demonstrates the transformative power of the pathogen, and in the wider lore it suggested hammerpedes share xeno-like traits, the acid blood trait being an example. Although only about 5 feet long, the hammerpede's terrifying persistence and fearsome attack make it a savage little forerunner to the larger horrors that are coming up. Neomorph, approximately 2.1 meters. The Neomorph appears in Alien Covenant 2017. Not a Xenomorph XX121 exactly, it is created by the black goo's interaction with the ecosystem on Planet 4. Neomorphs begin as motes of spores released by alien fungus. When inhaled or allowed in via the nostrils or ear canal, the spores gestate a bloodburster that erupts from the host's back or throat, in lieu of a chestburster. The Neomorph quickly matures into a lanky, chalk-white biped roughly human-sized, adult height around 2 to 2.1 meters. In appearance, the Neomorph is horrific. Translucent pale skin, a slimy eyeless head that tapers to a point, and a mouth full of needle-like teeth. It lacks the biomechanical dorsal tubes of true xenomorphs, and even lacks an inner jaw, but it is ferociously agile and strong. Runner, dog or ox alien, approximately 2.1 meters. When a facehugger impregnates a host, the resulting xenomorph inherits traits of that host. The runner, seen in Alien 3, 1992, is a xenomorph born from a quadrupedal animal, an ox in the extended cut, a dog in the theatrical cut. The runner is leaner and slightly smaller than those born from human hosts, roughly 6 to 7 feet tall when standing, with a lighter build of somewhere between 200 and 320 pounds. It moves primarily on all fours, fitting its canine or bovine heritage. What the runner loses in bulk, it gains in speed and ferocity. It's known as the fastest xenomorph type. In Alien 3, the runner is an extremely aggressive lone hunter, chasing its victims through corridors like a rabid beast. Fans often call this creature the dog alien or ox alien, but officially it's a runner, a special quadrupedal xenomorph caste adapted for speed. The Deacon, approximately 2.3 meters. The Deacon is a creature born at the very end of Prometheus 2012, essentially a proto-xenomorph. It originates from a unique chain of events. An engineer is infected by the Trilobite, a giant facehugger-like organism, resulting in the Deacon gestating and bursting from the engineer's body. The Deacon is named for the pointed hood-like shape of its head, which resembles a bishop's mitre. This being stands around human height, estimated approximately 2 to 2.3 meters, and has an elongated skull, metallic blue skin, and a mouth full of silvery teeth. In its birth scene, the baby Deacon lets out a shrill scream and stands upright over its engineer parent, implying it would have grown into something truly formidable. In fact, early concept drafts of Prometheus envisioned an ultramorph, a fully grown engineer-spawned xenomorph, which would be much larger and deadlier. The Deacon represents a critical link in the franchise's evolution, essentially a glimpse of what a xenomorph might look like when born from the giant space jockey species that started it all. Xenomorph drone or warrior, approximately 2.4 meters. These are the standard adult xenomorphs, approximately 7 to 8 feet tall. The adult xenomorph, often simply called a drone or warrior, is the iconic creature first encountered on the Nostromo in 1979. Standing about 7 to 8 feet tall, 2.1 to 2.4 meters, with a sleek black exoskeleton, the adult xenomorph is a perfect predator. Its biomechanical body features an elongated domed skull, smooth in the original drone from Alien, ridged in the warriors from Aliens. A whip-like tail with a blade tip, and an inner set of pharyngeal jaws that shoot out to puncture skulls. In a hive context, like in Aliens, warriors often work in groups, capturing hosts alive for implantation rather than simply killing. However, lone drones, like the original Big Chap in Alien, exhibit cunning stealth, stalking and eliminating prey one by one. At roughly man-and-a-half size, a xenomorph warrior can outrun, outclimb, and outfight any human, truly, as Ash described, the perfect organism. Protomorph, approximately 2.4 meters. In Alien Covenant, we see what appears to be early-stage xenomorphs engineered by the android David. These are sometimes dubbed protomorphs or praetomorphs. Very similar to the classic xenomorph drone, it is a tall, black, bipedal creature with an elongated head and lethal double jaws. One key difference is that the Facehugger in Covenant required mere seconds to implant its embryo, and the Chestburster that emerged was fully limbed, almost a miniature adult that quickly stood upright. They lack the tubing on the back, their dorsal spines are much subtler. David's lab notes and the mural in Prometheus imply these creatures were based on the engineer's original designs for the xenomorph. One could consider the protomorph an alpha version of the species, a direct predecessor to the classic xenomorph. Standing around 8 feet, the protomorphs demonstrate that even the beta test version of a xenomorph is an absolute nightmare. Romulus Xenomorph, approximately 2.4 meters. In Alien Romulus, the familiar xenomorph makes a return, this time created through human science. Weyland-Yutani recovered the original alien, extracted DNA from it, and bioengineered facehuggers and xenomorphs aboard the Renaissance station. These Romulus xenomorphs are essentially descendants of the original Nostromo alien, and they exhibit the same physical characteristics, a bipedal killing machine about 2.1 to 2.3 meters tall with the iconic biomechanical look. One novel twist: Romulus Lab bred these Xenos so rapidly that they observed an intermediate cocoon stage between chestburster and adult, a juvenile phase not seen in prior lore. In other words, after bursting, the young xenomorph forms a chrysalis to mature further before emerging as an adult. This detail aside, the Romulus xenomorphs behave like the classic type. They stalk dark corridors, eliminate crews, and form hives if unchecked. And a reminder, if you're enjoying this Xenomorph deep dive, don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got plenty more alien lore on the way. Offspring, approximately 2.3 meters. Born from dark experimentation in Alien Romulus, the Offspring is a horrific hybrid. It is a human xenomorph hybrid with engineer-like traits from the black goo lineage of the Z.01 mutagen. This is an amalgam of 3 species given birth to by K. The offspring's life cycle is highly unusual. It developed in utero in a human, it then grew at a rapid rate into a hulking monster. In its final form, the offspring stands around 8 feet tall with an engineer-like build. Large, humanoid, pale, but with xenomorph features. It sprouts a long tail, develops dorsal tubes on its back, and even an inner jaw. Ultimately, an experiment gone wrong. The offspring is roughly the same size as a typical adult xenomorph, if not a bit larger and bulkier, but it is so singular that it defies easy classification. Newborn, around 2.7 meters. The newborn is a ghastly human xenomorph hybrid from Alien Resurrection. Approximately 2.7 meters, 9 feet tall and humanoid in build, this pale, fleshy monstrosity was the unintended result of cloning experiments. The United Systems military cloned Ellen Ripley with an alien queen embedded in her in order to study xenomorphs. The cloned queen inherited some human DNA, causing her to develop a womb and give live birth to a hybrid offspring instead of laying eggs. That offspring is the newborn, an ugly, translucent-skinned creature with long limbs, a skull-like face with eyes and a nose, and an almost infantile demeanor. The newborn is immensely strong. It can smash human skulls with ease and survive significant injury. Its hybrid nature means it does not have an armored exoskeleton. Instead, it has fleshy skin, making it more vulnerable than a typical xeno. The newborn stood out as one of the largest individual xenomorphs seen on film at the time, and certainly one of the most bizarre. As Ripley poignantly puts it, "I'm sorry for this." Predalien, 3 meters. When a xenomorph gestates inside a predator host, the result is the fearsome Predalien. Standing about 3 meters, 10 feet tall, its appearance blends traits of both species. It sports the predator's distinctive mandibles and dreadlock-like appendages on its head, atop a bulky xenomorph frame. The Predalien first appeared briefly as a chestburster at the end of AVP, 2004, then in full form in Alien vs. Predator Requiem, 2007. This hybrid bypasses eggs and facehuggers entirely, as it can impregnate hosts directly by regurgitating embryos down a victim's throat using its inner jaws. According to the film's directors, the brothers Strauss, the Predalien was intended to be a young queen in the making, hence its method of seeding many embryos quickly. In combat, the Predalien is brutal. It possesses the predator's strength and resilience and the xenomorph's ferocity. It took the combined efforts of a veteran predator and a tactical nuke to bring it down. While the Predalien isn't canon, it is a truly impressive beast. If you'd like us to take a closer look at the AVP crossover movies, let us know in the comments. Trilobite, approximately 3 meters. The Trilobite is essentially a supersized precursor to the Facehugger, born from the events of Prometheus. It originates when Dr. Shaw, unknowingly impregnated with an alien embryo after exposure to black goo via her partner, surgically removes the creature from her womb. That squid-like infant grows rapidly into a massive facehugger-like monster, measuring about 3 meters tall and weighing nearly half a ton. It has a bulbous, pale body with multiple strong tentacles. In function, the Trilobite behaves like an enormous facehugger. It attacks and subdues by wrapping its tentacles around the target and using a large proboscis to implant an embryo. We see this in Prometheus's climax. The Trilobite ambushes the last engineer, grappling it in a crushing embrace and impregnating it with what will become the Deacon. After completing implantation, the Trilobite dies. The Trilobite's size and strength are such that the engineer, a being far stronger than a human, is completely overpowered. With its 3-meter span and relentless grip, the Trilobite vividly demonstrates how terrifying the facehugger concept becomes when scaled up exponentially. Praetorian, 3.1 meters. The Praetorian is an evolutionary caste of xenomorph often described as a royal guard for the queen. Standing around 3.1 meters, 10 plus feet tall, they are larger than typical warriors. They are sometimes viewed as an intermediate stage that could molt into a queen. Praetorians have a distinctive appearance, a large crested head, heavy armor, and often a darker or different hue. They keep the xenomorph form, but with increased bulk, making them like the tank class of the hive. They are extremely aggressive and resilient, able to absorb considerable damage. Praetorians have featured in many Alien vs. Predator games and comics, though not yet in the films. They appear as boss enemies in Aliens vs. Predator 2, 2001 game, and AVP Extinction, 2003. In those depictions, Praetorians often spawn from a warrior that's been exposed to royal jelly or special conditions, growing into this mightier form. At approximately 10 feet tall, they slightly exceed a predator's height. Their broadhead armored crest can deflect gunfire, and they have been shown to charge like battering rams. Overall, the Praetorian is one of the largest pure-breed xenomorphs, a formidable protector that ensures the hive's heart, the queen, is never left vulnerable. Crusher, approximately 3.5 meters. The Crusher, introduced in the video game Aliens Colonial Marines, is a tank-like xenomorph known for its massive build and bulletproof head. This quadrupedal beast measures up to 3.5 meters tall, approximately 11 to 12 feet when rearing up, and is very bulky. The Crusher's defining feature is its oversized, flat armored cranium. Crushers move on all fours like a rhino. They lack the spiky dorsal tubes of other Xenos, instead having a smooth, shield-like carapace from crown to back. This creature's role is a frontline battering ram. It will lower its head and charge at high speed, crushing obstacles or marines under its weight. In Colonial Marines, the player encounters Crushers on LV-426 as devastating mini-bosses. They also reappear in Aliens Fireteam Elite. Carrier, 3.6 meters. The Carrier is a special xenomorph cast introduced in the strategy game Aliens vs. Predator Extinction 2003. True to its name, the Carrier serves as a living transport for facehuggers, spreading the infestation far and wide. A Carrier xenomorph is roughly 3.6 meters tall, listed as a few feet larger than a warrior, but a bit shorter than a queen. In build, it resembles an oversized drone with an ashen-colored exoskeleton. Up to 6 facehuggers will ride on a Carrier's back, sustained and protected by the Carrier's body. The Carrier even excretes a nourishing substance called exadrenaline to feed them. In combat, the Carrier itself is not as lethal as some casts. Its claws are hook-like and it can fight, but offense isn't its main purpose. The real threat is its cargo. If the Carrier is threatened or killed, the attached facehuggers will immediately leap off in all directions, swarming nearby enemies. Crocodile Alien, approximately 4 meters. The Crocodile Alien is a xenomorph born from, you guessed it, a crocodile. It appears in the 1997 crossover comic Batman, Aliens, and it is absolutely gigantic, roughly 4 meters when on all fours, comparable in mass to a queen. The Croc Alien's body is bulkier and more muscular than a human-spawned Xeno, with thick greenish-brown skin and even a row of spines along its elongated tail, reminiscent of crocodile vertebrae. The Croc Alien demonstrates immense strength and durability. Batman struggles to fight it, ultimately defeating the monster by luring it into a lava pit. This variant shows how the xenomorph DNA reflex can produce truly supersized aliens from large animal hosts. While non-canon to the main film series, it's an official Dark Horse Comics creature that vividly answers the question, what if a facehugger got a crocodile? Queen Xenomorph, approximately 6 meters. Everyone knows the alien queen, the colossal egg-laying monarch introduced in Aliens, 1986. A typical queen stands about 6 meters, 20 feet tall, even taller if you count her towering crown. She is the central reproducer and leader of a xenomorph hive. Visually, the queen is stunning. A massive crested head like a serrated crown, a towering armored body with an additional pair of smaller arms on her chest, and a deadly whiptail even longer than her body. James Cameron's Aliens gave us the first look at a queen, and she did not disappoint, showing surprising intelligence, she figured out an elevator, and maternal fury when her brood was threatened. Queens have a specialized ovipositor, a huge egg-laying sac that they attach to in a hive's egg chamber. Stationed there, a queen can lay dozens of eggs that each house a facehugger, thus populating the hive. When threatened, or if the nest is compromised, the queen can detach from the ovipositor and move freely to defend her offspring. Queens have appeared in multiple films: Aliens, Alien 3, briefly as a chestburster, Alien Resurrection, as a cloned queen, and AVP 2004, games and comics. They are always a dire threat and the primary target if humans hope to stop a hive. While about 6 meters tall standing, queens are even longer head to tail, easily 15 plus meters in length. Empress, approximately 6.5 meters. The Empress is an augmented queen xenomorph, larger, older, and more dominant than an ordinary queen. They stand at roughly 7.5 meters, 25 feet tall. In the xenomorph hierarchy, an Empress is essentially a queen of queens on a given planet or hive network, second only to the singular queen mother. Empress xenomorphs have been portrayed in a few games, notably in the Aliens vs. Predator 2, 2001 PC game. An Empress, called the Queen Empress, is captured by humans on planet LV-1201. An Empress looks much like a queen but bigger and often with additional crown ornamentation or slightly different coloration. They are tremendously strong and prolific egg layers. The Empress is one of the largest xenomorphs to appear in any medium. If a normal queen is intimidating, an Empress is utterly awe-inspiring. King, approximately 7 meters. The king alien, also known as the Rogue or Chimera, is a genetically engineered xenomorph variant introduced in the Dark Horse comic series Aliens Rogue. According to different sources, this massive creature stands at around 7 meters, 23 feet tall, rivaling a queen in size but very different in origin. The Rogue was created by Professor Ernst Kleist as part of Project Chimera. The goal was to make a controllable xenomorph that could dominate others. Unlike natural Xenos, the King is a human-xenomorph hybrid spliced with human DNA to curb its aggression, in theory. It has a bulky humanoid build, a massive crestless head, and reddish-brown skin. It's bipedal and incredibly muscular. In the story, Kleist unleashes the Rogue as a king to control or eliminate a hive of natural xenomorphs. The result is mayhem. The Rogue turns ferociously aggressive toward the regular xenomorphs, seeing them as rivals rather than underlings. At 7 meters tall, it is an absolute giant, slightly taller than a standard queen. However, it's ultimately a failed experiment. You can't easily tame the perfect organism. Queen Mother, approximately 16 meters. At the very top of xenomorph hierarchy sits the Queen Mother, also called the Alien Mother or Hive Mother. The Queen Mother is an enormous, bloated xenomorph monarch, 15.2 meters in length or more. It rules over entire xenomorph species on a planetary scale. Queen Mothers were introduced in the comics, Aliens Earth War and the Female War by Dark Horse, as the ultimate caste that even empresses and queens obey. On the xenomorph homeworld, a single Queen Mother sits at the center of the global hive, emitting psychic commands that coordinate all other queens and their hives. Physically, a Queen Mother is enormous and corpulent, immobile due to her size much like an ant or termite queen. She constantly produces royal jelly, a substance that helps create higher castes. She dwarfs every other form of xenomorph. Her mind is the nerve center of the hive's collective consciousness. If encountered, a Queen Mother would be nearly impossible to kill by conventional means. In Female War, it took a nuclear blast to eliminate one. All hail the Queen Mother, from a very safe distance. That's all for our xenomorph size comparison. Please like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more alien deep dives and alien Earth breakdowns.